What's up, AP fam? We are back with another episode. Back from vacation, of course, out there investigating a couple locations, and I'm here again with teammate Michael. And we told you guys on the last Demonologist tapes video that we're going to be talking about the Amityville haunting, one of the most controversial hauntings that are out there next to any other haunting. This is the most talked about haunting, the most media coverage.
This is the haunting that put hauntings in the spotlight.
Yeah, go ahead, keep going.
That's what, if you watch
Sorry, guys.
and you look into it,
There we go.
Amityville was the Elvis, the Beatles
Yeah.
of the paranormal.
Mm-hmm.
And there's been a lot of information that's come out about it over the years.
Yeah, like back when it all started with the DeFeo family. Is that right? The DeFeos,
Yeah.
and then the Lutzes. Yeah. With the DeFeo family, I mean, you look at like what all happened, what was going on inside the walls of that house at that time, and then the Lutzes move in afterward, and then all this crazy stuff starts happening to them and everything. And then this documentary came out, Shattered Hopes, and that guy who was doing it was contacted by somebody, which was Mrs.
Butch's wife.
Yeah. And everything that came out after that, and her saying that there was nothing haunted about that house, and this is a bunch of garbage, take that crap down. And then when he asked the guy what was his name? The guy who did the documentary?
Oh, Lord, I don't remember his name.
While we're doing that, we'll pull it up. But, like, she contacts him. And
there's a fourth part they're working on right now.
Yeah, that's one I cannot wait to talk about that. And it's, she was saying, he asked, who is this? And she said, I'm his Mrs. DeFeo. And then she's like, if you want to, he's like, well, what can you tell me about it? And then she starts telling everything. And you've seen this documentary more than I have.
Well, there's a new documentary out on MGM Plus called Amityville: The Origin. And there were three Lutz children, Danny, Christopher, and Melissa. Danny was the middle child. Danny has never really done interviews about Amityville.
Mm-hmm.
And he does in this.
Nice.
He comes out and he does say stuff did happen in the house. He said, that happened to me, that happened to me.
Wasn't this
That happened to me. But, and I don't want to give away that documentary. Go watch it. If you've got an MGM Plus account, or get you a free trial. It's a 4-part. But George caused what happened at Amityville. That's Chris's assumption, that George was into the occult.
Yeah, I did hear about that.
There is numerous papers and interviews where George and Kathy both say that neither one of them had any occult experience or knew anything about it.
That goes to more of the stuff in the
But
documentary.
then you get, where you find out you're blatantly lying.
Yes.
But George was into the occult, and there was a lot that went on, and the more that we find out about Amityville, the one thing I will say in the documentary Origin is that there is a paranormal expert that is quoted as saying, it may not be today, it may not be 10 years, it may be 100 years, but whatever was awakened in that house will find a family that it's capable of doing this to again, and it will happen again.
Wow.
Okay. The photograph of the child. That's the one I want to talk about.
Yeah, I knew that was coming.
The photograph with the child. Now, for years, the kid in the landing during the seance that the news crew was there and everything, they say in the MGM documentary that I think it's the sound man or the cameraman.
Yeah, I think so.
If you look at him, he's wearing the same shirt that the kid is, and basically that's just the sound man or the cameraman. And I'm like, okay, granted, there's the ability to manipulate images at that time period in the 70s.
Yeah.
But not to that. The guy's face is longer. It's fuller. That's not a manipulated image, in my opinion. Okay, now I've seen numerous reports that the photo has not been doctored. Now, I don't know all about, doing, size grammetry and all that stuff and, measuring noses and
Yeah.
eyes. I know from a forensic standpoint that it's something that we could do. Maybe someone needs to take that photo and a good picture of this guy when he was that age,
Hmm.
when that photo was taken, when he was in the house. Let's put a nail in that coffin and put it to bed.
Yeah. Is it
Is it
real?
him or not?
Yeah. Is it a spirit or is it him?
And here's my next thing,
Hmm.
and then I'll let you talk
Okay.
because I kind of run over you
No,
sometimes.
no. Don't. You don't.
If it is fake, Ed and Lorraine knew it
That's true. That is
because
very
Ed and
true.
Lorraine, Chris has changed his name from Lutz back to his father's original because his mother was divorced.
Right.
It was an abusive relationship. He did change his name back, and it gave him some anonymity from the Amityville
Yeah.
stuff. And he said that Lorraine and Ed would keep in contact with him because they felt that the kids had psychic abilities.
Hmm.
And George was convinced that Chris was going to kill him with his mind.
What?
Yes, he would beat the shit out of Chris.
I did. I remember hearing about how he was
because
abusive to the
he
kids.
thought Chris was trying to kill him telepathically.
Huh.
And this is stuff that we're just now hearing about.
Right.
And the cool thing is Chris goes, you know that thing that he was afraid of? Where he was afraid that he was going to kill him telepathically? He said, I won't say exactly what happened when he died or what I was thinking. He said, but that thing you're afraid of, you better be careful.
Hmm.
And it's for a documentary.
Right.
It's a shock factor.
Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah, scary.
Okay, but here you have 2 of the 3 children now have come out and said there was paranormal activity in the house, and both of them say it was caused by George.
Hmm.
So why did Butch change his story so much?
That is true. Yeah, I mean, he did. He changed the story from. He actually told what happened to his wife, who's in the documentary, guys. And the guy's name is Ryan Katzenbach presents, and it's called Shattered Hopes, and it's the 3 now. It's a 4-parter, but it's really, really insightful, man. Like, guys, he really got a lot of information from Butch's wife, and she literally tells the entire story of what happened up until and even after the murders happened. And I'm not going to ruin the documentary for you guys, but it's really mind-blowing.
But people also are saying that she's just trying to get money. She's just trying to, have her 15 minutes of fame. Disclaimer with any of these documentaries, whoever's making them has a vested interest to do something in these documentaries. So when you're watching a documentary about Amityville or Bigfoot or any of those things, you're looking at someone that has a vested interest in getting their story across. So when you go and watch it, like with anything,
Yeah.
grain of salt,
Mm-hmm. Big grain of salt.
and use common sense. What is the old phrase of it? Quacks like a duck, flies like a duck, walks like a duck, it's a duck. So, I'm not going to sit here and unequivocally say Amityville was fake.
I think there's a lot of stuff. Sounds like your phone's ringing.
Yeah, it's my text. It's John Wayne.
And it's guys. It's also. I mean, this haunting is so controversial. Like you have, like when she tells the story about what Butch told her happened with the murders and everything like that. But also, even past that, it goes into about the novel that was made by Jay Anson. They had several over the making of that book. They went through several bottles of wine, and George Lutz constantly.
Now that's Weber.
Weber, I thought it was Jay Anson.
No, that was Weber. Weber was DeFeo's lawyer, was Butch's lawyer.
Yeah.
And that man has been proven to be a bold-faced liar.
Yeah, like what about the book though that Jay Anson wrote?
Jay Anson was given. They made tapes. The weeks after they left the motel, Kathy and George did tapes. That was their way of dealing with it. Weber was not involved in those tapes. They gave those tapes to Jay Anson, and he wrote the book based on the tapes. In this new documentary, there's actually footage of Jay Anson saying, I took their tapes. I wrote the book.
Yeah, it was over
I'm
several
just
bottles of wine.
no,
How they
no,
talked to him.
no.
They said there were several
That
bottles
was
of
with
wine.
Weber.
Weber. Okay, thank you.
Weber was the one
Sorry.
they were drinking wine with.
Okay.
And Weber was trying to set up a defense for Butch.
Right.
That's where you get some of those diametrically opposed statements from Butch. Oh, my sister did it. Oh, I was possessed. Oh, I lost time. Oh, I was watching a war movie and I had an out of body experience.
Yeah, there was so much to his stories. Like,
the thing that gets everybody, and it's mentioned in several documentaries. If you look at Ocean Avenue, you look at what is it, 112 Ocean Avenue?
I think so.
And you look at the two houses on either side of it.
They're so close.
The gun that he used,
the Marlin,
is not quiet.
Yeah, it's a loud.
And in an enclosed space, how come nobody in that neighborhood woke up and heard those gunshots?
Yeah, that's the crazy part about it too.
So there's something there that doesn't make sense. Why? The only way you could get that many people to lie face down in a bed and not get up while somebody's being shot is if more than one person was involved or they were drugged.
And
there's no toxicology drug reports that they were all drug free.
Yeah, and it's like in the documentary, guys, I got to say this part real quick because it's not going to ruin the whole thing. Well, it might. But it's when Butch's wife was telling the story about what happened that night. They came home and his sister said that she is the one who took out the children.
Yeah, there is in a lot of the documentaries, the theory is that the sister killed the family and in a fit of rage, she went to shoot Butch, and Butch got the gun and blacked out and killed her.
Yeah, threw her down on the bed is what he said, and then right as she landed face down, he just pulled the trigger.
But almost immediately after talking to the police, Butch's story changed multiple times.
So many times.
But Butch was a heroin addict.
Yeah.
We don't know what Butch was seeing. He could have killed everybody in the family, and he could have been thinking he was shooting at flying elephants.
Yeah.
So when you're on a drug like that, that's why drugs are bad.
And drinking on top of that, then doing and smoking pot at the same time.
The stress, his father was abusive. That's fact. It's not, neighbors say they never saw it or heard it, but other people that know the family, there is testimony, wiretaps of Berlanti, Mrs. DeFeo's father, Butch's grandfather. They have recorded, I guess like wiretap or something, where he says, if this kid gets off for this, we're all going down. He had mob ties. That's a fact.
That's another
he
part,
was being investigated. But for his grandfather to tell him, if he gets off on this case, we're in trouble, that opens up a whole new door.
Yeah. Everything else that happened with the Lutzes too, like the walls bleeding, the ooze and stuff like that, and then the thing in the window, Jody.
Okay, the window that the cat, the pig, first of all, they never said flying pig. They said the little girl drew the picture of a pig.
Right.
Flying. That's a little girl's picture. There is no kitten that's jumping 3 stories up into the air into a window. I'm sorry. No cat, no dog, no pig, no elephant, nothing. You're going to jump 3 stories straight up in the air.
Yeah, and then it comes down to, wasn't it, George Lutz said that there was a cat, that fat cat that he called a pig, and stuff like that.
Yeah, and this one they say it's actually a kitten, because some of the neighbors talk about a kitten that was in the neighborhood that they feel that the kitten jumped 3 stories.
Yeah, something like that. And then Lutz said, I hate that cat. He's such a pig. He's always eating. So.
Well, there was so many things, like the dust. The fingerprint dust is where they got the green slime. Okay, if you look at the crime scene photos, and you can actually get access to a lot more of the crime scene photos.
They show them in that documentary,
They show more of them in Origin that I've never seen before.
Oh, wow.
And
the blood splatters.
It's like, there's an interesting set of Polaroid photos that were taken by another paranormal researcher. And he took this, she used to be an opera singer, but she became like a medium. And in all these photos, the Polaroids that they took For some reason, the cameras reacted to the bullet holes, and there's a white halo around all the bullet holes in the walls.
Crazy. And this is out on YouTube?
It's on MGM Plus. It's called Amityville, The Origin.
Okay.
And I just watched it this last weekend, prepping for this to see what new information is out there that I haven't heard of.
Right.
I am not an expert on Amityville. I can tell you I believe something paranormal did happen at Amityville. I don't think Butch DeFeo was possessed.
That smoke hit my blue.
But I do think there was more than one person involved in the DeFeo murders.
Oh, yeah, there was, most definitely.
And I do feel that there was some mob connections there.
Yeah, there was.
And I feel that George Lutz, when his own children are saying, or his stepchildren are saying now, this stuff happened, but this stuff didn't, they're admitting to stuff that gets them ridiculed.
Yeah.
If you don't want to be ridiculed, you go, oh, I was just a liar, none of it happened, it was all fake.
Yeah. And it's like you look at back, too, with everything that the Lutz family had going on,
If you need anything, brother, just yell at me, okay?
He's about ready to buy something.
Okay, what you got? You go ahead and take this, and I'll take care of it.
All right. Yeah, he's open for business today, guys, so we're filming at his shop, so he's got a couple customers.
Yep. What you got?
But also, guys, like, when all this stuff came out, too, with the Lutz family and the book and everything, there was also, this is all in the documentary, too, but, what?
Here are my glasses.
Oh.
Blind in one eye and can't see out the other.
There you go.
Thanks, sir.
But they were also talking about, like, they kept changing, like, there was something about the book signing or something about more information, and don't quote me on this for chronological order.
Cash your card.
But he kept changing how he does want to be there, or he's not going to be there, or he is going to be there. And he kept going back and forth about wanting to come out and talk about this book, and then not talk about it, let's talk about not. So it's kind of like, this whole story about this place is one of those things that's kind of like, okay, well, what's real and what's not?
My phone. I'll leave you alone here in a minute.
You're good. So it's like what's true about this haunting and what isn't. That's why we're talking about this video today, guys. Also, there was also talking about with the whole murder thing, and it's like in the documentary you'll see crime scene photos that they show, and I guess it's from forensics. They show the blood splatters outside the parents' bedroom, and they notice this, and then the way the father's body is laid in the bed, and it shows that he didn't die like that, that his body had to have been somewhere.
He was in the hallway.
In the hallway, yeah, the doorway, got shot, fell over, and then shot again, I think, and then I think the daughter is the one who shot the dad. And then that happens, she has Butch help her put him back in the bed, and then it goes from that to the mother, and I think it's Ronnie's friend shot the mom with a revolver, I believe.
There you go.
And then that happens, then he freaks out and leaves. And this is all based on what Ronnie told his wife that night. And then he finds out that the kids are dead, and she says she couldn't stand them anymore, she had to make them shut up, so she kills them, and then he freaks out on her, they wrestle with the gun, he throws her onto the bed, and then pulls the trigger as he throws her down. And then that's when he leaves, and then goes to the bar, and then everything happens from there. And that's all based on what Ronnie had told his wife, I believe is what they said in the documentary. So Michael's finishing up with this transaction, and we'll get back to talking about the rest of this little video, and then we're going to wrap up. But yeah, guys, so far also, while I'm going to take this time too with this video,
thank you all. Have a great day.
I'm going to say a thank you to Chris Ball for helping me out on this investigation, and James the Fam, thank you so much for your support and your help, guys. And I just want to give a welcome to all the new subs on our channel, guys. Thank you all for your love and your support. It really means a lot to us here at Alternative Paranormal, and we thank you guys all so very much, and thank you so much for your support and helping this dream come true. So anyways, with that being said, okay, so I just told them about the night that it all happened.
The boyfriend. And
yes.
Because she wanted to leave the house,
yep.
And that was no way it was going to. There was a lot of stuff that Butch's wife talks about in this documentary. Now, once again, that's hearsay. There's no one else that's ever, according to some of the neighbors, you hear in this new documentary that Butch was a troublemaker. He was on drugs.
Yeah.
He was lazy. He just wanted a free ride. And the day that everybody found out that the DeFeos were dead, some of the neighbors said Butchie did it. First thing they heard about it.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't know. We may never know what happened at Ocean Avenue.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is that if we believe that the paranormal exists, if we believe in the existence of demons, and the existence of spirits, and we believe that they're capable of affecting people, then we have to look at Amityville with a large grain of salt, because this was the beginning.
Yeah.
This was when paranormal investigating was in its infancy. So they made a lot of mistakes and they made a lot of assumptions. Like our talk on demons' names. Show me where that's scripturally correct. Show me anywhere where there is anything other than paranormal investigators saying that demons' names have powers, or the Catholic Church. And then show me where you're supposed to get those names. The book he has. Where did they get this book full of names from? Was there some guy sitting on a street corner and God just downloaded every demon name into his head? I mean, funny. It is in a way, because you're taking it as a certainty when we don't know.
Right.
So when you do this kind of work, when you go into a haunted location, or you go into a location that has some kind of attachment or some kind of oppression, you're opening yourself up to whatever that entity is, and we don't know what it may do. Something totally different to him than it would do to me.
Right.
Because we all perceive things differently, and we're all afraid of different things. George would not talk about Vietnam. He was in Vietnam. He was a United States Marine. Marines are not wimps.
Yeah, and he's also a black belt. He was also a black belt.
He had jiu-jitsu,
Yep.
but he would not talk to people about what he went through in Vietnam. We know that Vietnam, a lot of young kids, that's where they experienced drugs for the first time.
Yeah,
some very heavy
effects.
drugs.
Yeah. Vietnam scarred a lot of people mentally and emotionally too. Psychologically.
It was a bad time.
Yeah, it's horrible.
So we don't know what George went through to create the doorway for this thing to walk through. But I feel that Butch DeFeo was involved in his family's murder. Did he do it alone? I absolutely do not feel it, based upon what I've seen, based upon the Lutzes kept, we hear they kept some of their furniture. They kept the freaking mattresses the kids were killed on.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
They show them.
Oh,
they
God.
show pictures of the mattresses that the Lutz kids sleep on and the dressers, and then show the pictures of the same things in the actual crime scene photos. And you have them circled. It's like, so and that's, unless I'm mistaken, the mattress they show is the exact same mattress in the photo that the boys were killed on, if I'm not mistaken. Now you're opening yourself up to some seriously bad juju right there.
Yeah, dude, especially letting your kids sleep on that. That's horrible.
They claim, of course, back then we didn't think about all the blood-borne diseases. I just shampoo it out and clean it up and
flip it over.
Remember, we used to wash diapers. Yep. We didn't do disposable. We washed them out, hung them on a line, dried them out, and slapped them back on a baby's butt again.
Yeah, back then, yeah.
So there were a lot of things that were done differently, but at the end of the day, Amityville is where we get, and I wish I could remember the paranormal investigator, because he feels the one that first asked the question about Amityville and where the whole Indian graveyard thing came from.
That thing, yeah.
There is no Indian graveyard at that location.
No,
the Indians were in that area, but there wasn't. And they go in and look historically. But then you go back to the 70s, and there's interviews with this paranormal investigator with a local historian saying they found the skull there or found Indian bones there. So, but then you go back and you look at it from history, there was nothing there. So we've got
people trying to add to the
yeah,
haunting.
you're like, you've got so much stuff. It's like, well, what if we? And a lot of that comes down to Butch's lawyer.
Yeah.
Well, let's say this, and then he comes out when he doesn't. He's not able to get money for the movie and get what he wants out of it. It's all fake. It's all bunkum. It's all made up. Okay, yeah, a lot of it is made up, and you gave them the idea, but you're just as guilty as they are for pulling a hoax because you were going to use a lie to try to get your client out of jail.
Yeah.
And at the bare minimum, your client killed at least one person,
Yeah.
if not three.
Very true. Yeah. I mean, it also, like in that one documentary I had watched, there's another documentary about Amityville that I had watched too, and there's a lady who was there. I can't remember her name, but she had like long black hair.
She's still alive. She's
Yeah.
in the MGM one.
Okay. And she says when they were there, they had a psychic there, and
Oh no, I'm thinking about the neighbor that's still alive. That's got long black hair.
Okay, yeah.
I know the psychic you're talking about.
Yeah, and she says like we had a psychic there, and they were doing a seance or something. She said this lady literally developed an Adam's apple and started talking like a man. They played the audio, and you hear her saying something about an Indian chief, and he wants his house back. He wants his land back, and all this stuff. But then it goes back to what you were just talking about.
That's a different seance.
Okay.
That one is that first one. I can't remember the paranormal.
You know
this woman used to be an opera singer.
Okay.
And she went in. That's where they took the Polaroids, and the bullet holes wound up shining in the Polaroids. And to me, it looks like overexposure, but it's around every bullet hole in the walls and stuff. But she does. They do play that audio in here. That did happen. That's real, because they talked to this paranormal investigator's daughter and says, my father never faked anything. She's very adamant that this is what my father did. This is what he believed in. He didn't go out and fake stuff. If he thought it was happening, he went into it head first. But this woman, they talked to her a couple of other times, and she's actually sitting in on the interview where they talk about the Indian graveyard.
Okay.
And she talks about the Indian, I don't think she says chief right away, but I think the word chief gets pulled out there somewhere. But then you had multiple paranormal, Ed and Lorraine, and I think there were three others that were there with the news crew. And one of them went to lay down, and because and Lorraine wouldn't go up to the older daughter's room. She wouldn't go into that last room. She sat down on the landing, and from that moment on, she said she had a headache the whole time. So if I'll look it up and get the name of that woman and that investigator and get it to you so you can put it on the comments and in the description.
Okay. Yeah.
I like I said, I had never heard of him before, but I had heard of this woman being there because I'd always heard, and I would see pictures of this woman, and what would confuse me early on when I was much younger, because I'm not going to tell my age, is this woman was not Lorraine Warren, but I was seeing pictures and I'm hearing about this, paranormal investigator, but this is not Ed and Lorraine Warren. This is Ed and Lorraine Warren. So why are they showing pictures? And that's why at first I just thought, they don't even have the right pictures.
Right.
But this took place like literally months after the Lutzes left.
Yeah, that's when they started bringing people in.
And, and then when they finally let the Warrens in, then the Warrens stayed in touch with the Lutzes because they felt that, especially Chris, had psychic abilities. So they felt that the children had psychic or some kind of paranormal or extrasensory ability, and that was what kind of opened them up to it. That thing slamming on Danny's hand happened. They get into more on Father Pecoraro. Father Ray, they do come out and they talk to, I think, one of his family members. I think it's
he
his
never
daughter.
stepped foot in the house, so the priest did.
Yes, he did.
He did?
He did. See, we've heard that he refused to go in.
Or he never showed up or something.
And he wouldn't go back. He refused to bless it a second time, and he told them he wanted to know why they were still in the house. And he says they've had people interview him, and he said, yes, the flies happened. It did happen. But then there are other interviews where he's quoted as saying that never happened.
Yeah, see, that guy that goes back to, I heard that he wasn't there, that he never showed up. Then he hears a documentary where the father does come out and say, I was there, this did happen. Then he says, see, guys, this is the why we're talking about this haunting, is because
it's very controversial.
Yeah, very, very controversial. And there's also like, oh my gosh, I just lost it. Like it's, I don't know, guys. Like there's
Just
this.
pull it out of the ether.
Yeah, reach it and oh, there it is.
It's just a happy little cloud.
But guys, like this is like there's so much about this place, and like there's people that live there today. Like I know somebody that when we opened the place I work at, he was there, and I can contact him and see if he can contact the people that live there.
That's not going to happen.
Okay.
Because the people that live there right now will absolutely the Amityville. They didn't even show the Amityville horror in Amityville. And here's an interesting side note. Okay, where does Friday the 13th take place? What county?
Wasn't that in New Jersey?
Yes, but what county?
I can't remember the name. I know the camp.
Suffolk County, New Jersey.
Suffolk County, okay.
Okay. Amityville is in Suffolk County. Is Jason responsible for Amityville? No, I saw that the other night and I was like, the next Amityville movie will be Amityville the 13th or some crap, because I just watched one.
Well, hey, Jason can body hop. Jason goes to hell. He's body hopped into Ronnie DeFeo.
He was in Ronnie. There you go. And,
yes, he did it to Ronnie.
It's scary, when you think about it, that they didn't show the movie there. There's documentary evidence of people being arrested because they won't get off the property with the new owners. One set of owners bought the house, and they were harassed endlessly by people coming by and wanting to ask them questions, so they wound up selling the house.
Yeah.
And don't go to their house. Call and say, hey, we want to do an investigation. No. No's no. Leave them alone. There's nothing going on in the house. And
that's what my friend said. He contacted them, and they actually texted him back 'cause he's good friends with them, and he says, I have a friend who's involved in the paranormal and stuff, and I told him about you guys, and he texted back, is there anything, have you guys ever experienced any paranormal activity? And they said, no, absolutely not. Our house has been quiet since the day we bought it.
And that's the thing they say at the end of this documentary, that it may be 100 years, but the right circumstances will arise, and the right family will move in there, and this thing will blow up again. And that may be what happened with George. It may have been, here's my theory. If the DeFeo family was as dysfunctional as we hear in all these documentaries, and there was a lot of drugs and there was a lot of physical, because Butch put a gun to Big Ron's head and went to shoot him, and they even say it in this documentary, the gun jammed, and after that, Big Ron got religion big time. And people would see him outside praying at the statues outside.
The stuff he had in the yard, the station, Mary or Joseph.
He said that he knew, he was at the crucifixion, he knew what side Christ was pierced in. There was some weird stuff come out of Big Ron's mouth. And there's people that say Ronnie was embezzling from the car dealership that was owned by his father-in-law.
Oh, yeah, because the mob. Yeah, that whole thing.
If all of this, that's already the perfect storm for something. Rob Zombie's Halloween. Okay? Michael Myers is from a dysfunctional family. That's all I'm going to say on it. What's scarier? Normal middle-class American kid goes crazy, kills his sister in the upstairs bedroom. Oh, that's scary as hell. Crazy-ass white kid with a stripper mom and a crazy-ass redneck boyfriend that is abusive and a pervert, and a sister that's slutty as all get out, and gee, we can't figure out why he's got issues at all.
Right.
Nature versus nurture. So, okay, if you look at the DeFeo family, if everything we're being told about them is true, this was the perfect storm for something bad to happen. Could that have opened the door? And then when George came in with the stuff he was involved in, the thing stepped through.
That makes a lot of sense.
George died of a heart attack.
Yep.
Kathy died of a form of cancer, some kind of cancer. Okay? All three kids are still alive as far as I know. They didn't say anything about where Melissa was, but Danny and Chris Chris was the middle child. He's the only one that's in the new documentary.
Yeah, and there's also one called My Amityville Horror.
That's Danny.
Danny, okay.
And Danny had an attitude from the get-go. Danny
Yes,
did not like George. He hated George. Even Chris says Danny was a bit of a jerk. He's a bit of a prick, even as a kid. And I think that had to do. Their father was abusive. He says that the mom left him because he first was abusive.
Yeah.
So these kids here are around abuse and violence, and they say that George and even Chris and them say George did not change and become abusive until he got into that house.
Yeah.
And he started with all this stuff.
Yeah, and then also, like, my battery's running low. And also, I'll be real quick on this one, and then we're probably going to have to wrap it up, so I don't want to lose any footage on here, guys.
We can always do a part 2 later.
Yeah, we can.
Do some more research.
Yeah. If you guys want to see a part 2, drop a comment down below and tell us if you want to see us do part 2.
You want to see us do a part 3 in 3D with Jason?
Oh yeah, that's right. Because Jason could be responsible for this.
Yes.
But like the whole window smashing that happened on Danny's hand, right?
Yes, Danny's hand.
In the one called Shattered Hopes, they talk about this, and they say that the window smashed on his hand, but then they said they were going to take him to the doctor, but then they didn't take him to the doctor because he was okay, and they said it didn't happen, or something like that. Wasn't that in the doctor?
Chris says it happened.
Chris says it happened.
In this new one, he says it happened. They don't talk about taking him to the doctor or anything, but he says it did happen.
Okay.
There are things in Amityville Horror that Chris addresses and says, that happened.
Okay.
That happened to me. That happened to Danny. This happened. He doesn't get into that. I don't remember him saying anything about levitating or anything like that.
Yeah.
But he lays it at George's feet. That George, whatever happened in this house to the Lutzes was George's fault.
Right.
What happened to the DeFeos? I don't know. Was it the mob? Was Butch a nutcase? Was Dawn psychotic? Was Candyman involved? I don't freaking know. What gets me is no one heard the gunshots.
Yeah.
Because looking at photos of the houses, even today.
Yeah. And they even had the neighbor talk about it. And he says, what? And he's like, they shot him with this gun. And he was like, I would have heard that because I live next door. He's like, I didn't hear any gunshots.
Well, they do gunshot sounds at the beginning of the second episode of this new one. And it's loud. And then they do it like saying nobody would have heard it. Of course, you can still hear them because they want you to see that there's a gunshot. Right. But I'm like, even if that was going off,
you would hear it.
And that reduced capacity, you would look, well, I thought I heard something.
Yeah,
it may not be something, holy crap, that was a gun.
Right.
Did a car backfire down the road or something?
Yeah.
But the dog, they said the dog started going off at about 3:15 in the morning. But nobody looked outside to see what the problem with the dog was. None of the neighbors said, why is the dog going nuts out there?
Right.
And I didn't know that there was a search, is the dog alive? There's actually footage from reporters asking, is the dog alive? Yes, the dog's alive. What's the dog's name? The cop's like, I don't know the dog's name. They were hung up on the dog. And these are things we've never heard, and they might be trivial.
Right.
But they might not be.
Right.
If the dog only started barking after it heard something, it knew who was in the house.
Right, something's not right.
Dogs don't normally bark at their owners or family members.
Unless they're in trouble.
So if it wasn't going off barking for 20 minutes before the gunshots,
yeah,
it knew who was in the house.
Mm-hmm.
It knew the people in there and was comfortable around them.
Yeah, so, that's the creepy part about it.
Food for thought. Is it real? What's your thoughts on it? Put them in the comments. Let him know. I'll find out the names of these other investigators from the documentary and get them to him.
All right, guys. Yeah, guys, just drop, like you said, drop your comments down below, guys. Let us know what you think. And if, guys, like I said, we are more than likely going to do a part 2 to this because there's still so much more to talk about, and we're going to keep this one going.
We're actually trying to get access to the public records from Amityville.
Really?
He's already put in requests for them.
Oh, hey.
I'm asking for if I can get any crime scene photos because you can pan and scan in a video on TV, but you may only be zooming in on what you want the audience to see. There may be something over here in the photo we've never even seen before that could be relevant. I'm surprised an actual forensic examiner hasn't taken all the evidence from both sets and sat down with it and went, okay, let's look at this. Let's start, and no preconceived notions. It happened yesterday. I'm investigating the crime.
Hey guys, that's something we're gonna be. Looks like we got hopefully some good things coming.
That's what I think needs to be done.
Yeah.
So.
But all right, guys. So we're gonna wrap this one up. I got some work to do on the YouTube channel today as well. So as we say, guys, stay spooky, stay blessed, and stay safe. And we're gonna see you on the other side. Peace out, guys.